All right, we're back for video number 3. I'm David Hitt, your Los Angeles divorce realtor, and part 3 here with collaborative law specialist Ty Supancic of the Law Collaborative. Glad to have you again.
Thank you, David.
So for this last segment, part 3 of our video series on collaborative divorce, can you tell me a little bit about in detail, the role of the collaborative lawyer?
Yeah, thank you. And this is where a lot of lawyers don't even understand how it's unique. So have you ever heard the old adage that when all you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail?
Yes.
Okay. I have 2 bandsaws. I have a 13-inch and I have a 9-inch bandsaw. I have multiple hack saws. I have a scroll saw. I have a circular saw. I have drywall saws. I have hack saws. I have jeweler saws. And I have cut wood with a hammer because I was down at the bottom end of my property, and there was a piece of wood, and I used a hammer, and I swung the hammer, and it broke the wood. It's an ugly cut. It's wasteful, but it gets the job done. Well, the hammer for a lawyer is, let's go to court. Right. My client doesn't want to hear no. Rather than get fired and have them find a lawyer that'll say yes, I'll just let the judge tell them no. $20,000 from now in legal fees. So the collaborative law model takes the hammer out of the lawyer's hands. It gives the hammers to the couple. They can always go to court if they want to. They don't waive any rights. But the lawyer loses the ability to say, let's go to court. The lawyer has to get creative. The lawyer has to actually manage their client. You know, nobody likes to hear no. And a lot of clients have unrealistic expectations. And rather than set the client straight and risk getting fired, the lawyer goes, okay, we'll fight for that. Knowing that they're never going to get it, but at least the client had the right to go to court and let the judge, let them hear it from the judge. Well, that's nonsense. It's wasteful, just like cutting wood with a hammer. And so the collaborative law model takes the hammer out of the lawyer's hands. The lawyers have to get creative. They have to manage their clients. They have to be better negotiators. They have to reach a solution that their client is comfortable with. So that's how it's much more powerful than litigation. And that's how it's much more powerful than in mediation. Because in mediation, there is no lawyer. The couples are working with a neutral, whether they're a lawyer or a real estate agent who's serving as their mediator. That person can't advocate, but they've got an advocate in the collaborative law model, just that advocate can't go to court. And that's the night and day difference between collaborative law and other forms of conflict resolution.
And I think there, you know, one of the things, there's also a collaborative team agreement. I believe that all the professionals sign consent.
Yes, and it actually
correct?
gets filed with the court. And that's the thing that says that if the parties have to go to court, the lawyers are fired. And everyone is fired, and the parties start fresh. They got to hire new lawyers. So they got some buy-in. They got some commitment to this process. People say, well, what if I get near the end and it's like, well, nobody's going to want to start over from scratch. At that point, maybe some compromises are going to become more, people will be more willing to compromise maybe now than before because they don't want to start over from scratch. And if they can't finish it in collaborative law, then they are starting over from scratch. So very few true collaborative law cases are unsuccessful. You occasionally find a case where someone is playing a game. They have no intention of being honest. They have every intention of hiding assets or hiding income. And they'll get in the collaborative law model thinking that they're going to be able to play games and keep secrets. And the financial neutral always says, well, but I need these records. Well, I don't have those records. We can't move forward without these records. Well, they don't exist. Well, then where does all this income go from? or how are you affording to pay these bills? You know, a forensic CPA sees cash flow, they see expenditures. You can't hide, you know, very much of value from a forensic CPA. And so sometimes people will get in the collaborative law model and it turns out that one side was being dishonest the entire time. And so that won't work out. But that's very, very rare. That's usually easy to figure out when, you know, a party's not answering straight questions or being cagey or foxy with their lawyer.
You know, another thought that comes to mind is also too, you probably know this statistic better than I do, but it seems that I read somewhere, is it correct that most divorces that end up going to court, 60% of them end up settling before, you know,
No, much higher. It's whenever I hear it, and you know, they update that figure from time to time. It's always between 95 and 99% of cases settle, because that $100,000 a day on both sides, you get to the courthouse steps and your lawyer says, okay, now we're about to spend $100,000 and your spouse is going to spend $100,000, and people go, oh, maybe we should settle this because we're fighting over $100,000. Why would we spend $2,000 when we're fighting over $100,000? So yeah, that's why most of them end up settling. But that doesn't mean they haven't already spent tens and scores of thousands of dollars already getting to the courthouse steps.
So if someone watches this video, let's say someone that's doesn't know about collaborative law, they could get the idea that if I'm gonna, most 90% of court divorce cases settle anyway, why don't I consider this collaborative law option anyway, if I'm gonna end up settling?
Yeah, why would you spend all the money in preparing for court if you're not gonna end up going to court? But,
right.
But you know, the business model for many law firms is churning those cases and doing discovery and issuing subpoenas. They make a fortune. You know, they bill their paralegal at $250 or $300 an hour. They're paying the paralegal $30 or $40 an hour. That's a huge profit margin. And you keep those paralegals working all the time. It's, you know, it's why divorce lawyers, you know, live where they live and have the boats they have and vacation where they vacation and all that stuff. There's a horrible movie called Divorce Corps.
Oh.
Have you seen Divorce Corps?
I don't think so.
It's CORP. And it's about the big business of divorce. And it's very depressing. It's very depressing about the business model and the way that it exploits people going through horrible times.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's very impactful information, and I will watch that for sure. So the last part of this third part of the video, 3 parts video series is let's talk about the role of the collaborative realtor in the case, in the event there's real property involved. Now, I took my real estate divorce designation training, and what we want to do is there's 3 things: consumer protection, protect the credit score, and preserve homeowner eligibility. And so we want to help them do the 4 or 5 areas of house homework up front. So that includes, you know, mortgage, title, house insurance, house condition, and house appraisal. So everything that basically someone does when they're buying a home, we're going to work with them to do all of that stuff early on before they go to the mediation table, before they go to court, to turn every relevant financial stone so that they can go to court and to mediation fully prepared with any needed house repairs. There may be additional liens that they weren't aware of that were recorded on the property, mechanics liens. There may be, maybe they didn't pull the history on the insurance claims when they bought the house. And so we'll find that out also. And then the appraisal. And then of course, the condition. The condition is an important one because we're going to suggest that they do a general home inspection, a sewer, and a chimney inspection to see what health code and safety issues are uncovered. And then we're going to also go a step further and get estimates from those appropriate vendors of what those costs are going to be. Yep. So that they can go to the table, you know, and negotiate a fully amicable settlement, you know, because they're not going to know, particularly if they're not the one that takes care of the finances typically, or the house, whether it's going to need a new roof or whether there needs new plumbing and so on. We want to, you know, protect them and find those things up front so we can, you know, like I said, negotiate a possible, the best settlement amicably as we can. And we do that free. We also give them all of these reports with a spreadsheet and a Dropbox link with the spreadsheet that's programmed specifically to this project to print out with all the relevant information and reports to hand to you or to the mediator and to the client, and they need to do nothing. It's free of charge. The only thing that we ask is, of course, if the property does have to be sold at some point, that we be considered. Apart from that, I love this value proposition that we now have, and getting to know you and getting to know more about helping people through, you know, one of the most stressful things that may be equal to a death in their lives, through with as ease and much support and kindness as possible. And so, you know, I'm really happy to be here with you and that we're talking about this.
Can I say one last thing about your
Please.
role?
Yes, please.
I get depressing calls from people on a regular basis, people who did their own divorce, and they settled it with their spouse, and now they can't buy a house. And they go, well, but I want to buy a house, and I'm not eligible anymore. I don't qualify. They underestimate the importance of having a competent realtor handle their transaction and be involved in their divorce if they want to own another home, or if they want to keep a home, or if they want to buy a home. There are so many restrictions and bars that have to be met for home ownership. You know, you think you're getting money, and then the mortgage company says, oh, we don't care that you're getting that spousal support. You have to have been getting it for 6 months already. And we don't care that you were getting it voluntarily. It has to have been by court order. Well, now I missed the market because I didn't plan for it. And by having the right professionals on their team, they can plan and not exclude themselves from future home ownership and not mess up this enormous financial transaction. Too many people say, you know, my sister just got a real estate license. I'm going to let her sell the house. Are you kidding me? I love my brother, but if my brother just got his surgeons, I wouldn't have him cut my body. I want a surgeon who does nothing but surgeries all the time. To rely on someone who's not highly trained is really foolhardy.
I agree. And I think, you know, from some of the research that I've done also too, having a third person, not your realtor, not their realtor, but perhaps a third person that neither of you have relationships with, to come in and to be the unbiased third realtor option, if you would, to, you know, to work with and through this process. But also too, you're not going to, you save that relationship also too, particularly if it's a friend or a family member that is in real estate. This potentially could hurt a friendship, and, you know, you don't want that. And in my opinion, it's got to be someone who's not going to get caught up in the emotional drama as well. And the last thing that I'll say for this, we want to get to the customers or the clients, as you mentioned, up front before they, you know, maybe get angry and think, well, I'm not going to make my house payment. I'm going to let, you know, my spouse do it. Where then if the payment goes unmade, then the credit goes down the toilet.
Yep.
And that's where the homeownership, future homeownership is in jeopardy.
Yep.
So I think it's saying, we know you're upset, but let's talk about this, of what the advantages are about working in this way with a team like this that's of benefit to you. So because you are going to need another house, especially if there are kids down the road. So let us help you protect the path in which you would go to get that. So thank you so much, Ty, again, for all of your time today. I love and appreciate you.
Thank
and
you.
We'll see you on another DTP call in the future.
Thank you. Thank you,
Have
David.
a good day. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, I just turned